My patient's teeth started growing back while I was pulling them out, but they weren't human teeth anymore. You're watching The Confession of Dr. Marcus Blackwood, Beverly Hills' most exclusive cosmetic dentist. I charged celebrities $50,000 for a perfect smile. My Rodeo Drive clinic was booked 2 years in advance. I lived in a $12 million mansion and drove cars worth more than most people's houses. But money can't buy you peace when your own mind starts betraying you. 3 days ago, I was in my private surgical suite working on Victoria Sterling, a Hollywood producer who'd paid me $80,000 for a complete dental reconstruction. She was under full sedation when something impossible happened. As I extracted her damaged molars, I watched in horror as new teeth began pushing through her bleeding gums. Not normal teeth. These were sharp, yellowed, and looked centuries old. But when I blinked and looked again, her mouth was normal. Just bleeding gums where I'd removed the teeth. Victoria was still unconscious, breathing steadily. I was hallucinating. The camera captures my trembling hands as I hold up a bloody dental tool. That night, I found a small antique box on my desk that hadn't been there before. Inside was a human tooth, not extracted, but torn out violently, with flesh still clinging to the roots. Wrapped around it was a note written in what looked like dried blood. The Whitmore Clinic remembers. But when I called security to check the cameras, they showed no one entering my office. I placed the box there myself at 2:47 a.m., though I have no memory of doing it. I was sleepwalking again, something that had started 3 months ago. Whitmore Clinic. I hadn't heard that name in 15 years, but it brought back memories I'd tried to bury. In 1997, during my residency, I'd worked at the Whitmore Psychiatric Hospital's dental clinic. The place specialized in treating patients with severe mental illness. A cold draft fills the room. I adjust the thermostat, but it's still set to 72 degrees. I remember working on patients who couldn't distinguish reality from delusion. The head of psychiatry, Dr. Ezra Whitmore, ran experimental therapy programs that pushed patients to their breaking point. He believed pain could cure mental illness. One patient haunts me still. A young woman named Lily Ashford, maybe 19, diagnosed with severe psychosis. She claimed invisible people were trying to hurt her. Dr. Whitmore convinced me to participate in an exposure therapy where we would perform dental procedures without proper anesthesia to ground her in reality. Lily screamed that we were torturing her. She begged us to stop, but Dr. Whitmore insisted it was therapeutic. After the procedure, Lily stopped eating, stopped speaking. 3 weeks later, she hung herself in her room. I told myself we were helping her, but deep down, I knew we were the invisible people she'd been afraid of all along. The camera jerks as I notice movement in the corner of my eye, but nothing's there. The next morning, I found my entire surgical suite destroyed. Every piece of equipment was bent and twisted. My $100,000 dental chairs were overturned. But the security cameras showed me doing it myself at 3:15 a.m., methodically destroying everything while apparently sleepwalking. My receptionist, Amanda, found me staring at the wreckage. "Dr. Blackwood," she whispered, "there's someone here to see you. She says she has an appointment, but she's not in our system." In my waiting room sat a young woman with long, matted hair and hollow eyes. She looked exactly like Lily Ashford had 15 years ago, but Lily was dead. This had to be a hallucination, or maybe her sister seeking answers. "Hello, Marcus," she said in a voice that sent chills down my spine. "It's time for my follow-up appointment." The lights flicker, or maybe it's just my eyes. I'm exhausted, but when I checked with Amanda later, she said no one had been in the waiting room. The security footage showed me sitting alone, having a conversation with an empty chair for 20 minutes. I was losing my mind. Over the next 2 days, the hallucinations got worse. I saw patients from the Whitmore Clinic everywhere, in my office, in my car, in my home. All of them bearing the scars of the procedures I'd helped perform. All of them looking at me with accusation in their eyes. Mrs. Chun, whose jaw I'd broken during an unnecessary procedure. Roberto Martinez, who developed a severe infection after I used unsterilized tools. David Park, a war veteran whose PTSD we'd made worse through our treatments. But they weren't real. They were manifestations of my guilt, my subconscious mind finally forcing me to confront what I'd done. Footsteps echo from the hallway, or maybe it's just the building settling. That's when I discovered the truth about my successful career. While organizing my files to check for other missing appointments, I found documents I didn't remember keeping. Patient records from Whitmore, financial statements, and a contract with Dr. Whitmore's son. The Whitmore family had been paying me hush money for 15 years. My Beverly Hills practice, my wealthy clients, even my marriage to socialite Catherine Pemberton. It had all been funded with blood money. I was being paid to stay silent about the illegal experiments. But the payments came with a catch. Every month, I had to take a vitamin shot administered by Dr. Whitmore Jr. according to my medical records. These weren't vitamins. They were experimental psychotropic drugs designed to suppress memory and induce compliance. A knock echoes from the front door, but I'm not expecting anyone. The drugs were wearing off. That's why the hallucinations were getting stronger. My repressed memories were fighting back, manifesting as visual and auditory hallucinations of my victims. Yesterday, I received a call from Dr. Whitmore Jr. He knew I was having episodes. He wanted to increase my medication dosage. When I refused, he made it clear that I had two choices: take the drugs and stay quiet, or have an accident like several other Whitmore alumni who'd tried to speak out. The beauty of your condition, Marcus, he said, is that no one will believe a word you say. You're clearly having a psychotic break. He was right. If I tried to expose the conspiracy, they'd just point to my hallucinations as proof of my mental instability. The perfect cover-up. The camera shakes as I look around frantically. But I found something else in those files. Other doctors who'd worked at Whitmore were experiencing similar symptoms. Dr. Sarah Chun had started seeing patients who died during procedures. Dr. Michael Torres was found talking to empty rooms, claiming dead patients were giving him instructions. We were all being systematically poisoned to ensure our silence. The hallucinations weren't just guilt. They were side effects of 15 years of experimental drugs. Tonight, I stopped taking the medication completely. The hallucinations are more vivid than ever, but so is my memory. I remember everything now. Every patient we tortured, every illegal experiment, every cover-up. The camera captures the sound of my office door opening. Dr. Whitmore Jr. stepped into my office with a syringe in his hand. "Time for your medicine, Marcus," he said. But this time, I was ready for him. I'd already uploaded copies of all the evidence to secure servers. Patient files, financial records, audio recordings of the experiments. Everything needed to expose the conspiracy. "You can't stop the truth," I told him. "The other doctors are coming forward too. Your drug cocktail is losing its effectiveness." That's when he smiled. "Marcus, you're alone in this room. You've been for the past hour. You're talking to another hallucination." I looked around. He was right. The security camera showed me sitting alone, having an animated conversation with empty air. But the syringe in my hand was real. I'd been about to inject myself with more of their drugs. The camera falls. Static fills the screen, then cuts to black. Signal lost. This recording was found uploaded to 17 different social media platforms simultaneously at 3:33 a.m. on December 21st, 2012. Dr. Marcus Blackwood was discovered in his Beverly Hills clinic the next morning, having overdosed on experimental psychotropic drugs. His confession was initially dismissed as the ravings of a mentally ill man. However, the documents referenced in his recording led to the investigation of the Whitmore Medical Research Foundation. 12 individuals have been arrested in connection with illegal human experimentation. 7 former Whitmore staff members have come forward with similar stories of memory suppression and psychological manipulation. The case remains open as investigators work to determine what was real and what was chemically induced hallucination. Share this story to expose medical corruption and protect victims of illegal experimentation.